Good evening. Welcome to this meeting of Westminster Mayor and Common Council. Council meets here at City Hall on the second and fourth Mondays of every month. Please note the council meetings, although open to the public here at City Hall, are also available and streamed live on the city's YouTube page, as well as the Community Media Center channel and website. Now we begin as we do every meeting with the pledge of the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Courtesy, everyone, please take a moment to silence your cell phone or any other electronic devices that you have that might ring or otherwise disturb the meeting. Thank you. Copies of tonight's agenda and the entire information packet council will be using are available online on the city's website, and hard copies are here in the front of the room for anybody who's requested a copy of the agenda. We have 4 presentations here. We'll begin with 2 proclamations from the mayor.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to ask Mr. Depot. So we have 2 proclamations, both for November, but we're going to get them out there a little bit early so we can recognize 2 important events that are going on in November. So I'll start with Municipal Government Works Month, November 2023. Whereas the city of Westminster, Maryland was incorporated in 1838, and since 1993, Maryland has celebrated Municipal Government Works Month each November. And Maryland is home to 156 other municipalities, and municipal government represents the most responsive level of government, allowing citizens to have direct access to elected officials. And as an effort to educate citizens about municipal government and the importance of their participation, the City of Westminster is proud to promote municipal government awareness. And municipalities have enhanced the quality of life for their respective residents, maintaining natural and historic sites and structures, and helping to make Maryland a great place to live, work, and explore. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Common Council of the City of Westminster, Maryland, hereby join the Maryland Municipal League in declaring November to be Municipal Government Works Month in the City of Westminster, adopted this day, 23rd of October, 2023. Just sit back there.
Take your time.
All right, and accepted by Mr. Mark Depot. Right. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. Don't go anywhere. All right. And I think Mr. Barber has said in November, we will all pose with the banner for a picture as well for Maryland municipal government. Okay. So this next proclamation is for Small Business Saturday, which will take place on Saturday, November 5th, 2023. Whereas advocacy groups, as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, and small businesses are the cornerstone of our free enterprise system, and since the birth of this country has represented opportunity, independence, and the fulfillment of dreams for generations of Americans. And small business owners who work long hours, juggling family and career responsibilities, and serving as community volunteers are integral to our city's prosperity and the vibrancy of our community. And it is fitting to recognize the small businesses in our community for the key role they play in strengthening our local economy, creating jobs, preserving our community. And the City of Westminster celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our city and community, and encourage residents to shop in store or online to support your local businesses. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Mona Becker, Mayor of the City of Westminster, join the members of the Common Council and the city staff in recognizing November 25th, 2023 as Small Business Saturday, and hereby encourage citizens of the City of Westminster to join the national effort in supporting small business owners and encourage the development of new small businesses. Adopted this 23rd day of October, 2023.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Would you like to say anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. I always ask, you know. All right, thank you, Mr. Depot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Rebecca. We'll move on now to our team quarterly update. We always look forward to getting an update on from our partner team who helps us to light the Westminster Fiber Network. So,
thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. Pleased to be here with you this evening to share with you an update on the performance of Ting servicing the Westminster Fiber Network in the previous quarter. So we'll start as usual with our metrics. So continuing to see good growth. I feel like a broken record. I say the same thing pretty much every quarter. And trying to find new tidbits to throw in there. But continuing to see growth in all of our phases. We've now achieved 40% subscriber rate. We have 4 of our 13 neighborhoods that actually have higher than 50% take rate, which is significant and we're thrilled with. And continuing to see good growth within the outside city limits program as well, which can be surprising, but it's just that customers want that internet that badly that they're willing to both pay for the city to complete the drop as pay that $10 a month fee for maintenance and tax. So this growth represents 2% quarter over quarter and then 10% year over year.
So can we ask you a couple questions?
Oh, yes.
Phase 4, is that Stonegate in that area? Furthest out? Well,
That also covers a large commercial area, so that makes up like the Target, all of that area over there. But you'd be surprised, we recently added Lowe's to the.
Really?
Oh wow!
very good.
It's nice.
Yeah, and worked closely with interim director Dick's team to build that out, and they wanted redundancy and.
Have you been able to grab hold of like your timber ridges and your Westminster overlooks yet? Or is that still a challenge?
Still a challenge. I think it's just the type of thing where it's a significant cost investment for us to be able to run through some of those larger MDUs, as well as several of the providers do have relationships with, or pardon me, several of the property managers do have relationships with other providers. And so therefore aren't either willing to let us in or aren't willing to really foot the bill for us to be able to come in and do that. So we'll keep trying. We keep asking. And the director Dick and I meet regularly and talk about like I would love to get, this MDU or this, and it just unfortunately has not proven feasible yet.
All right. Actually, a question for probably not you, for somebody else, but as not that we approve a lot of these because, we're waiting for the water to come, but as we approve, new multifamily, developments of any kind, apartment complexes or anything like that, can we require, as part of doing this, that the Ting run through there? We can't? There's no way we can do it? Be creative, think of a way.
I'll give that as one thought.
Please do.
We require that the connections are provided. We do run the lines. So with Addie's Place, the recent MDU, we did have them run lines to the building, but again, it's working with them to actually accept and use Ting. So every new development.
People want it, they can have it, right?
No, it's with this building. It doesn't mean it's run all the units
I understand
inside.
that. That's what I'm saying.
It runs,
Can we
it runs
require?
fast. We require them to put conduit in.
Mhm.
But because it's privately owned property, you can't compel
We can
them.
require water hookups and.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. There's a memo that I did a while ago for your predecessor in that seat, and I'll look for it.
Okay.
So it doesn't stop us from trying, and we do try and get first mover advantage. So the Public Works team pushed, really hard and got us in very early with Westminster Way and we enjoy a pretty significant degree there because we were there prior to Comcast. With Abbey Place, they do have a relationship with Comcast, and I've continued to, offer our support, do events there, promotions, and it's also right around the corner from my house, so I will definitely be walking my dog with my team bandana and my jacket on and having our techs drive the truck through, because once people know that it's there, and that they have an option, then we generally find people want it. So then to go through all of our different channels within marketing, just a quick summary of our events, our promotions, social media, and campaigns. So I've been testing out doing neighborhood events, which are hyper local. I literally find a place somewhere within a specific neighborhood and ask either the HOA or the property manager, or in this case, the city, to let me, come and put up a tent and then talk about Ting. I have games set up, and then usually we have a food vendor that attends as well. So this is now the third one that I've done. I have one planned for Stonegate next month, where we'll have a coffee and hot cocoa truck. So looking forward to that, and praying the weather holds out, because it has definitely not been all of our friends. I'm so sorry. These past few months. In terms of our sponsorships, continuing to find just good ways to get out in front of different groups within the community. I really have made a concerted effort to reach out to more families, because that is where we see the largest growth in terms of our demographics. So we sponsored the Action for Kindness Stroll, and that's one of the signs that we contributed. That was in the storefront window for AO Boutique. We sponsored the Carroll Community Foundation Philanthropist of the Year Awards, the Find Your Purpose Youth Talent Show, and then I've been working with several of the PTOs for all of the elementary and middle schools within the network. So we sponsored the water bottles for the Westminster Elementary School Fun Run. We continue to sponsor the Carroll Arts Center summer movie series. Have done that for a few years now, as well as the Westminster Pride Festival. That is actually our most successful event that we have every year. I typically get at least 1 or 2 new customers, and it's also a great connection for customers who want to ask about outside of city limits. So I've gotten, in the 2 years that I've been here, I've gotten 2 OCL customers that I met at Pride. We also have really been trying to expand knowledge about the Affordable Connectivity Program and how residents can get signed up with that. So we had a booth at the Find Your Purpose Back to School Drive, and we partnered with the University of Maryland Digital Extension, and they brought up a digital navigator from College Park to be able to really give, detailed insight into what you have to do to apply, because unfortunately it's not the easiest process to navigate. And then we continue to be a founding sponsor of the Carroll Biz Challenge. And super fun this year, my husband and I got asked to, because it was a whole 70s theme, 70s game show. So he and I were asked to do a pretend newlyweds game.
Nice.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. We continue to utilize giveaways on social media, both to boost engagement as well as generate leads, which I then follow up with via email. And these I always use a small business in town. So in July, we gave away a gift certificate for a project at Board and Brush. In August, we did a giveaway with a selection of a gift card to, I believe it was 4 different local restaurants, and the winner was able to pick which one they wanted, and that was sort of a restaurant week promotion. And then in September, we did a dual sort of gift card giveaway, $50 each to both Birdies as well as Rudolph Girls to support their merger. In terms of our campaigns, we tried something a little different. We have about 600 homes where we have a pre-existing fiber drop, but for whatever reason, those tenants or homeowners have not elected to sign up with Ting yet. So we tried a campaign where we offered them service free for 3 months. and had a good response to that. I definitely would have loved for it to have been more. I thought that this was going to be, a home run. People were going to love it, but we're definitely going to try it again, but maybe tweak some of the creative. We reached out to these residents via direct mail as well as next door. We targeted them by their address. So at the same time that they were getting the direct mail, they would also be seeing the ads if they were on next door. And then we also tested out pairing our internet offering with our mobile offering, which we haven't done before. We've had our mobile plan for a bit, but really wanted to see if that would appeal to residents to have that bundle, which a lot of residents are used to getting through other providers. And we found this to be really popular with our existing customers. Had a ton of questions from existing customers who wanted to get on board and then have their mobile service with us.
How does that work?
$10.
$10?
Yeah, so
That worked well too.
yep, so you just give us a call. We have a dedicated mobile team that's sort of a separate line of the business, and you can give them a call and they'll get you signed up. They make sure that your phone is compatible. The only real limitation that we have right now is that we do have physical SIM cards. So if you do have that newer iPhone, like we talked about our children not having, then you wouldn't be able to use it, but we're in development of an eSIM. But as long as you have a SIM card slot, and I have a bunch of them, I keep them in my car because I regularly get asked about it. My neighbor has now taken, I think, like 4 from me because he has a lot of kids. And so he keeps me, I'll just be out going to take my son to the bus stop and be like, hey, Nikki, do you have any more of these SIM cards? And he signs up. So his whole family's on now. So yeah, it's $10 a month per line and there's no real restrictions. I think our biggest hurdle is honestly exactly that. Like, what's the catch? This is too good to be true. This can't be real, but just
$10.
as long as you are a chain customer. If you are not a chain customer, but still within a chain town, then it's $25.
Have you been make calls like out of the country?
Yeah, so there you do have to, there's a pretty lengthy article that we have that I can share with you about the international roaming and the plans that they have there. But yeah, there's no restrictions there.
One of my kids, so we have a corporate plan that most of my kids also participate. One of them didn't want company name being associated with it because it's a business line, so she got it. It said it works awesome. It's on the Verizon.
It is, it's on the Verizon.
It runs on Verizon network, so it's no different than if you have a Verizon. If you said it works fantastic, it's $10 a month.
And what I generally tell people, I know it's a pain to switch, and that is sometimes a deterrent to do it. But honestly, for $10 a month, like, give it a shot. And if you don't like it,
Yeah, it's a second phone for her, so, yeah.
Is that for data as well?
yes,
Yeah.
unlimited data.
Unlimited data? All right, don't.
Maybe the mayor will be in touch with you.
I'll email you.
Okay. And then I believe, as you all know, I do quarterly customer appreciation events, either some sort of giveaway or offer, or this year we already have this amazing built-in event in terms of Fall Fest. And last year, because Ting is one of the entertainment sponsors, we were gifted a VIP campfire experience, and I had so much fun when I was thinking about what to do this year. I was like, oh, well, customers would love to do this. And so we purchased 6 fire pits and invited our customers to come out. We had about 60 customers that came.
60.
Wow. I anticipated it to be a lot more actually, because we did have a higher number of RSVPs, but I think the weather deterred a lot of people because it was quite windy. I did spend most of the evening either trying to hold down my signs or get out of the way of the smoke. But thank you to Ms. Gruber and your team, particularly Ms. Mollendorf for being such an easy partner to work with, and Mr. Barber for helping run around, find me extra s'mores supplies. So it was a really great evening. And then we had, as a bonus, everyone who attended was entered into a raffle for a solo stove, which I purchased at Dick's and the mall and their customer. So that wraps up all of our marketing updates. Were there any other questions?
I just want to make a comment. I happened to pull up just because I hate old emails galore. I pulled up your report from, or the report from 2021. And what is impressive to me is the continual growth. Because when I look back on the report that was given in June of 2021, the take rate was 30%, and now we're up to 39.5%. And that just slow, continuous, just every quarter more growth. So you guys are doing a great job with that.
Well, thank you so much. It's easy when you have a great partner to work with, and yeah, so thank you. And actually, that was my first presentation with the.
What's that, your first presentation?
Yes. I celebrated my 2 years and just past year. Yeah.
Very cool.
Very good. Any other questions for Ms. Lincoln? All right, well, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much. And thanks again for the team for being such a great partner with us. All right. Yeah, next on our agenda is our quarterly update from Magic. We have Mr. Glenn Dodge. Dodge, thank you for that. All right.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight. This is Magic's for Q1 progress report for our current fiscal year 24, which covers July through September.
Hit the right side of it, the right button.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you want to just click through? Who's controlling it? Are you controlling it?
No, but I will take over.
Okay, all right. Oh, there we go. That's right. Okay. All right, so for the uninitiated, Magic stands at the center of this sort of nexus model where we stand up programs that attract students and workforce, entrepreneurs and startups, investors and funding, industry volunteers and mentors to help us output economic development, workforce development, et cetera, on behalf of the city of Westminster. We have this sort of vision of what we call Silicon Main Street, which is to bring the awareness to the industry sector here in Westminster that leverages all the same ingredients of economic prosperity that were prevalent and available in the Silicon Valley region that we're all familiar with, to eventually hopefully continue to reverse the flow of commuters here in the bedroom communities around Westminster, so that people spend more time here in our STEM programs or in our various tech industry sector opportunities. And now, of course, we have expanded to include the Autonomous Robotics Innovation Center, which is our probably our most ambitious program to date for Magic since the founding of it in 2016. It has really brought us a lot of participation in the community with all the various different industry partners and local businesses that have really stepped up to help us, whether it's shelter systems, a library, or even Lindy McNulty and Gizmos Art helping us, with some of the trains that we're putting together for a community feature with the autonomous train garden. So the accomplishments in this first quarter, we held our first ever Pokemon Go trash pickup day, which I actually have some pictures of here. So I'll just jump ahead there so you guys can see how that looked. I think we had about 40 people total who came out. And this was like a really hot day. Like, speaking of bad weather, it was like 95 and humidity at like 100% or something. So these are some very dedicated people who came out for our Pokemon Go trash pickup day. And there's all the different bags of trash, mostly cigarette butts, interestingly, when we looked through the bags and figured out like what's the majority of the trash. But really, Westminster's already very, very clean. So it wasn't all that much trash to pick up in the first place. So that's the good news. We held a couple of our Westminster Angel Network meetings. This is our group that brings high net worth individuals from the community to expose them to different investment opportunities with other tech businesses. Some of them are here in Westminster, some are Carroll County, some are Maryland, some are even outside the state. But the idea for this group is that we want to actually start building a culture of investing in tech businesses here in Westminster. And so we've been meeting more recently at Covalent Spirits. This is a picture of one of the presentations. That's the CEO of Improve on Health, which I think is a Baltimore-based company. And actually one of our members made our group's sort of first investment into this business. So we can now say that the Westminster Angel Network is actually resulting in investments, which is a big deal, and it's going to help us draw more startup companies out here. Throughout the summer, throughout this last quarter, we've hosted our Good Game on Main events, which we ended up moving to ARC just because it became, it was a lot of people, so we didn't want it to exceed our what's it called, requirements, capacity. Thank you, the Magic office. And so those have continued to be successful. We actually had parents or families that came out for Good Game on Main, who then their kids signed up for our Tech Titans program, which is our first robotics club being hosted at ARC. So it's been successful as a recruitment tool and just kind of creating general awareness for Magic and ARC. We hosted an online safety seminar. That particular one was actually down in Sykesville at their invitation. We had a beginner electronics boot camp, which was hosted at Magic's office, facilitated by Dr. Robert Wack, who most of you know, who still volunteers with Magic. We had our summer workforce experience. This is the first time we've ever worked with the county with workforce development to host students who are graduating high school, going into college, and give them work opportunities at Magic and some of the various sort of technology-related industry stuff that we tend to work on. So we had 4 female students who were technically employees of Carroll Workforce Development, worked with us for 6 weeks. And then they did a nice demo day presentation at the end of it with about 35 students and businesses all told, who got a tour of ARC and then met at the Magic office for a presentation by those students. Very successful program. And we're already talking to workforce development about doing this again next summer. We have a new staff, Hunter Clifton and Jillian Engels. Many of you may have known Gabby Rose with us, Delegate April Rose's daughter. She moved on because she's pursuing her passion in environmental stewardship, and now she's with Howard County Conservancy. We hosted our first cybersecurity networking event. We had 2 new interns from Wintersville High School start this semester, Peter Toll and Damian Madera, who, by the way, they're exceptional students and are doing great. We expect, I believe, Damian, he's going to stay after he graduates, stay in Carroll and Westminster. So like we had at the end of last semester with a student named Caden Selmer, who decided to go to Carroll Community College and get his AA degree. We were able to get him a job at nearby in Finksburg at Mock, working on autonomous systems there. So we expect we'll have a similar opportunity with Damian, since he also wants to stay in Carroll and go to the community college instead of going out to another university. We have a partnership agreement now with Pi3, which is a nonprofit that does robotics education, and they facilitate competitive robotics programs, namely called First Robotics and First Tech Challenge. They have 2 teams now that have a residency through this partnership at the Robotics Center. One's called Crabotics, the other one's called Gear Freaks. This is about a dozen or so students all told, not including the parent volunteers who are with them whenever they're in the space. But if you ever come by the ARC space, you can see they have their own corner with their competitive field set up for their practices and scrimmages, getting ready for the competitive season, which can take them to Houston, Texas, or Miami, Florida, wherever some of these big competition finals end up being hosted. And then in terms of grants that we applied for, we received an additional $7,000 grant by the Rural Maryland Council, which is a state-funded program, and $100,000 for building out ARC to include makerspace equipment from TEDCO, which is also a state-funded program. So that was another big win for us this past quarter. Here are some photos of the Good Game on Main once it moved over to, that's in Magic's office, and then here in ARC's facility. That was a Pokemon-themed event that day. the Pokemon Go Trash Pickup Day, which we will hope to replicate again, maybe not in the middle of summer, maybe like sometime in the spring. And then what we're looking ahead towards, so some of these things have already come to pass. Was, for example, our Tech Titans Robotics Club launched in October, which is technically Q2 for us, so I'll review that in the next update. We had 10 spots available for that Saturday morning robotics club, where we have students in grades 6, 7, and 8 come out to learn this a platform called Vex, which is very similar to our Duckytown program, which I've spoken in the past about. So they can graduate from Tech Titans in that age group and then start to work on the Duckytown robots in high school. So we had 10 spots and we filled them all, and now we have a little bit of a waiting list too. So that is a good indication that we are going to be able to grow these programs here locally. We just hosted our Capture the Flag, our 15th Capture the Flag. It was actually this Saturday at Carroll Community College. Lots of great, we had Estonia again as a partner. So actually Estonia had kind of stopped participating in the last Capture the Flag event. And then they came back on this semester, which was good. And then we are planning for our Good Game Fest, which is probably our biggest event now. This is the 3rd year we've done this event. The first year was at Town Mall. And then last year was at Best Western Conference Center, which actually suited our needs a little bit better. So we'll be at the Best Western Conference Center again. Once again, the Baltimore Ravens are our partner. So we have Ravens Gaming League swag to give out as door prizes to anyone who paying attendees. We'll have the Retro Arcade with Save Point as a partner. We'll have console tournaments and Pokemon card tournaments with Coffin from Tawnytown as a partner. So it's a 3-day event, should be a lot of fun, and we hope that it continues to grow and again be something that builds awareness for magic and art. And then we have our Duckytown Community Train Garden, which we hope to launch hopefully by Black Friday or around Thanksgiving, so that we can have it as an attraction during other holiday events in the city. So we can sort of have an open house, invite people in to come see the trains. So we actually have a group of about 5 individuals, most of whom who live in the city limits, who kind of just came out of the woodwork when we put out the call for train enthusiasts and volunteers. And it's a wide range of ages too. We have one gentleman that's probably in his mid-20s. And then we had gentlemen who are, retired and doing this just, for fun. So we have a nice little volunteer group of train enthusiasts putting together this train garden right now as we speak, with paper mache and chicken wire and building tunnels and stuff. So it's going to look really cool. And then they'll decorate it for the holidays and put snow on and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then our next Spire Girls event, which is one of our newest programs as well, that helps attract middle and high school age students or 8th grade and up students who are female students who are interested in STEM, and showing them career pathways and having them meet other mentors, other female mentors in STEM. And so our next one will feature Teresa Bethune and Intro Pathways. And that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for Ron?
Question, I just have a comment or two. Like T, I know Vicky's not here right now, so I'll convey this to her later. I think the value added to the city from both Ting and Magic since the beginning of both, and you started roughly at about the same time, has really just been phenomenal over the last couple of years. And I just want to say congratulations for really, especially the last year or two, really running with a lot of this. The grants that you're receiving, the interest. I was a little worried with that October to April program. It's every Saturday, isn't it? And and that you fill all 10 spots for that and have a waiting list was just fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I'm out of touch a little bit with the younger generation and the robotics and their interest. But it's really happy to see, and so many people are familiar with what Magic does in the community now, which is really a shining star for Westminster.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing State Comptroller Berkeley Ehrman out to show
Yes.
off the
Yep.
facility.
Yep.
That was an
Yes.
honor. And yeah, some of the most of the parents that we hear from whose students are involved in programs like Tech Titans hear kind of the same thing, that their kids don't quite fit in other programs, extracurricular programs, whether it's art, theater, sports, and that they're sort of trying to find their tribe still. And so that's what's kind of rewarding about this, is that we are helping to coalesce that tribe of kids.
Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Good job. Thank you. Well, to echo the mayor's comments, we launched the fiber network, and then we launched Magic, and it remains, great investment on behalf of the city, to continue on working Magic. And the recognition that, not just the work that you're doing, but the recognition outside Westminster, you're winning the work.
Thank you very much.
All right. Move on now to approval of the minutes. We have minutes from the meeting of the Mayor and Common Council on October 9th and the minutes of the work session the same evening. We have a motion to approve the minutes.
Council President, I'll make a motion to approve both sets of minutes.
Second.
All right, a motion by Mr. Hoff and a second by Mr. Kavaki. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it. Minutes are approved. Consent calendar, we have one item on the consent calendar. We have a motion to approve. Motion by Ms. Gilbert, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Kavachi. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have it, the ayes have it. Consent calendar is approved. Report from the mayor, Dr. Becker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a few things I'd like to report on this evening. The first is on Sunday, October 15th, I presented a proclamation for the 50th anniversary at Timber Ridge. If you're unfamiliar with Timber Ridge, in 1967, recognizing the need for senior housing in the area, 7 local churches in Westminster formulated a plan to provide housing for those who could no longer maintain their own homes. And they first opened their doors to the Timber Ridge Apartments in 1973. It was a very nice celebration at the event, and they were just thrilled to welcome me with the proclamation. On Saturday, October 21st, which was just last Saturday, there were several events going on in the city. I think it was making up for the rain at Fall Fest and the rain that canceled the Oyster Stroll. The city hosted Spooky Saturday for our youngest residents on Main Street from 3 to 6. And I just want to say thank you to all the businesses that participated with games and activities, as well as handing out candy. And then at 5 p.m., as if our Recreation and Parks Department didn't have enough to do that day, we held the rededication ceremony for the clock tower. I'd like to thank Congressman Rupersberger for the citation that Danielle Aguora presented that day. And I would also like to thank Delegate Chris Tomlinson, Commissioner Tom Gordon, and Commissioner Ken Kyler for also attending the ribbon cutting that late afternoon. I also want to say thank you to all the city staff that also showed up. I think that it's always great to look out and see city staff at the event. Department heads were there showing their support, even if they don't live within the city limits. And it was just it's always really nice to see that when staff from the city show up to support the downtown events. And then just on a personal note, I would like to extend thanks to our police department and Chief Ledwell, especially Lieutenant Donovan, and our streets department superintendent, Steve Strasberg. If you could pass on my thanks to Lieutenant Donovan and Steve Strasberg for helping me on Saturday morning when I was attending a breakfast at Exploration Commons, which did not end until after Main Street was going to be closed. But thank you for the assurance of Steve Strasberg and the assistance from Lieutenant Donovan. I was able to assure the attendees that their cars would not be towed and that they would be able to exit the Diffindale lot onto Main Street at the end of the event. So just thank you for that. All right, and that's my report, Mr. President.
All right, thank you much, Dr. Becker. Move on now to reports from committees. Mr. Dayoff is not with us this evening, so we'll do a report for the Arts Council, Economic and Community Development. Mr. Hawk.
I'll just make a few brief comments. We had our last meeting on Thursday, October 12th. We had some discussion regarding maybe updating our distance requirement between future cannabis facilities. Eventually something will be making its way to council in that regard. We also had a discussion about a specific project that is making its way through the development process out in the Wakefield Valley area. Now that we finally have some water. I will also mention that the Route 140 Sullivan Road Sheets redevelopment project that is supposed to be eventually annexing into the city is slowly but surely making its way through the county development process. Because remember, it's supposed to go through the county development process and then be annexed into the city. I'm giving you an update. And I have been involved in that project for the past year, trying to help overcome some hurdles, not on our level, on a different level. And they should be going in front of Carroll County Planning and Zoning in probably November or December, and I will be attending that meeting to offer the city's support of the project. There was, just to quickly give you a feel, there was some controversy regarding traffic mitigation. The developer's traffic mitigation was certainly improving the site, but it was not making it perfect. And certain governmental authorities, not us, had a desire to make it perfect. Don't let the good be the enemy, or don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yes.
So that's sort of the situation there. So I commend their patience as they've been navigating the approval process. That's it.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hawk. I have nothing from the Finance Committee this evening or from Personnel Committee. Mr. Kalaki, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. On October 12th, Detective Sergeant Richard Lambert received the Police Officer of the Quarter Award. Detective Sergeant Lambert worked some impressive criminal investigations while also authorizing multiple search warrants and conducting multiple cell phone downloads. On October 16th, police recruit Melissa Hallers started the Police Academy in Frederick. The Westminster Police Department also has 4 police recruits in the Carroll County Sheriff's Office Police Academy who started in mid-September, so that's good news. On the 17th of October, dispatcher Gina Bowers received the Civilian Employee of the Quarter Award. Dispatcher Bowers received 2 letters of recognition during this quarter for exceptional work performed. I'll forward over both of their certificates for their Officer of the Quarter and Civilian of the Quarter to the rest of you. Gives a little more detail about some of the good things they've done. And then on October 19th, the police department was awarded the BJAG grant through the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention in the amount of $58,435 for 7 new mobile police radios for cruisers and 7 new e-tix printers consoles for those cruisers as well. That is it, Mr. President.
Great. Thank you very much. Public Works, Ms. Gilbert.
Sure. Among the normal activities the streets department completes, such as grass pickup, ball trash, leaf pickup, et cetera, they also prepared and executed Spooky Saturday downtown. This past Saturday, Mr. Dick installed the plaque for the clock tower dedication for this past Saturday's ceremony. I hope all of you got a chance to take a peek at it. It looked really nice. Main Street water main replacement work started today with the replacement of the existing 8-inch line with the new 12-inch line. And for those of you who have been downtown today, the decorating of the Main Street trees began for Christmas, and we will soon see winter on Main lights brighten our walkways. That is all the public.
All right, very good, thank you. That's all the lights going up.
Yes.
Recreational Parks.
That is me again.
Yes.
So as already, I believe, the mayor already mentioned, the Recreation and Park staff held a successful, highly attended Spooky Saturday event on Main Street this past Saturday with approximately 4,000 children and their families attending this annual event. This event keeps growing. Just saying, I'm waiting one day that you're gonna tell us 10,000 children will be downtown. Which offers trick-or-treating, crafts, games, face painting, a balloon artist, live entertainment, including a stilt walker dressed as a scarecrow, and 2 performances by children's musician Mr. John, amidst all the Halloween festivities, because we just don't give our recreation parks staff enough to do. They assisted with the Back to the Future theme dedication to Westminster Historic Clock Tower. Despite the very windy conditions, and some adaptations that had to be made because of the wind, the ribbon cutting ceremony was a fitting and joyful celebration of the newly reconstructed clock tower, accompanied with the gymnasium and the like dressed over for I would call it like a prom, with the banners and the streamers and the pictures and the food and Back to the Future movie. It was just adorable. The Recreation and Parks Department is now fully focused on Veterans Day Pickleball Tournament, which is just around the corner, scheduled for the November 11th and 12th, with over 200 teams currently registered for this 2-day indoor tournament being held this year at Dillinghurst. On November 8th, members from the Recreation and Public Works Department will engage in an on-site kickoff meeting with representatives from MDOT to discuss the Wakefield Valley Trail Development Phase 1 project, visit the project site and review the grant process and the requirements. And that is all I have. If at all interested, you can watch me go down to the Veterans Day Pickleball Tournament, because I will be participating in the chair. And you can laugh and be amused.
We will reach you on from wherever we have to be. Very good, thank you, Ms. Gilbert. And Mr. Dayhoff again is not here for the technology community. Now move on to council comments and discussion. This is the opportunity for council members to comment on anything that does not appear elsewhere on the agenda or any other report. Kavachi?
Just like to express my gratitude to the staff for a wonderful event that Ms. Gilbert referred to for both Halloween and then the clock tower dedication was great. It's very surprised so many people were downtown for that.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. Thank you very much. Ms. Gilbert?
I think I've said everything. I'm good.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Hahn?
I'll mention a couple of things. I attended the Maryland Municipal League Fall Conference last week along with Councilwoman Gilbert. The conference is always a great opportunity to interact with other elected officials across the state. The governor was there. He's a phenomenal speaker. I attended several sessions regarding housing, ethics, Main Street. I will mention there is a lot of, chatter regarding the need for affordable housing. For more affordable housing. And I think we're going to continue to see some of these issues come up in the Maryland General Assembly. And there's some inherent tension going on between different advocacy groups. While I certainly, understand the need for more, more housing, there are certain groups that kind of want the state to step in to usurp local control. So it's going to be interesting to watch some of those conversations. Obviously, you all know I'm on that accessory dwelling unit policy task force. There's been some, even in our first meeting, there were some members there that I would say were kind of promoting such ideas. And obviously I pushed back on that idea because at the end of the day, local control is important when it comes to our zoning code and policies. And while I'm a big advocate for housing, there needs to be an element. One size doesn't fit all. There was also a very interesting conversation regarding tax differentials and set-offs, which is a kind of a deep dive issue that is something I can talk to you all in more detail. But there are different counties, Council President, you're probably aware of this, that are shell counties and ones that are May counties. And we happen to live in a May county, which impacts the revenue that we receive back from the county. So it's a very interesting topic, and there is some chatter going on regarding that as well. I'll leave that alone for right now. The other thing I will mention is, gosh, it was so rewarding to be at the clock tower rededication. That was like one of the first projects that I kind of helped work with our state delegation towards getting some money. We received 200,000. And I again just want to really express my support or my appreciation for their support. Particularly Senator Justin Reedy, because I had a lot of conversations with him when I first got elected regarding the clock tower as well as Wakefield Valley. And I also must compliment the contractor. The quality of their restoration work is immaculate. Mr. Dick, you did a great job overseeing that. And then Ms. Gerber, you do phenomenal events. And I mean, I'm just always, and I was wowed by the attention to detail. I mean, you guys just always hit it out the park. So kudos to everyone involved in that. That was so rewarding to kind of, I've only been on council for 2.5 years. So to see the end result of something that I've all up here worked hard on is really cool. So thank you. That's it.
All right, thank you, Scott. And my thanks to all the great season department out there. The work and an amazing day. And I just want to say I was stunned how many kids were there. Ms. Ruber told us it was growing, and it really is amazing. But all of our events are like that now. So thank you very much for that. Move on now to ordinances and resolutions. We have one item for this evening. Introduction of ordinance 2023-10, an ordinance of the Mayor and Common Council of Westminster adopting local map amendment LMA 23-01, designate 700 Corporate Center Court, Suite K and Suite L, located in the PI Plan Development Zone, as a floating cannabis overlay zone for the establishment of a cannabis dispensary. Mr. Depot.
Thank you. Just briefly, on July 31st, 2023, DLD Enterprise Inc. With Verilife filed a petition for a local map amendment, LMA 2301, to designate property located at 700 Corporate Center Court, Suite K and L, Westminster, Maryland, which property is zoned PI Plan Industrial and is within the Cannabis Overlay District as a floating cannabis overlay zone for the establishment and expansion of the existing Verilife Cannabis Dispensary. Ordinance 2023-10, if approved, would rezone the portion of tenant space identified as Suite K and L and as depicted on the attached architectural floor plans to operate the cannabis dispensary. And this is with attachment to a report. With that, staff recommends the proposed ordinance number 2023-10, adopting local map amendment LMA 2301 as introduced for consideration to the Mayor and Common Council on October 23, 2023, be referred to the Planning and Zoning Commission for its review and recommendation to the Mayor and Common Council. And if it is moved forward, we plan to have the public hearing tentatively scheduled for November 16th, the Planning Commission, and back before the Mayor and Common Council on November 27th. And I'm available for any questions.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Depot. May I have a motion for introduction of ordinance?
Move to introduce 2023-10, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kavaki. May I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion by Mr. Kavaki and a second by Mr. Todd for the introduction. Any comments or any questions from Mr. Depot?
Council President.
Mr. Todd.
Mr. Depot, I just want to clarify. I think I know the answer here. But nothing is inherently changing with the business. They just simply need more space. Correct?
That's correct. My understanding is with the now added adult use cannabis sales on top of medical cannabis sales, this allows them to expand. They want to build a vault as you can imagine, and a lot of the changes for safety reasons and managing of people in and out of the space. So yes, it's just an expansion of the current business.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? All right. Hearing no further discussion, we'll move on to the vote. All those in favor of introduction, ordinance 23-10, which will send it to the Planning and Zoning Commission, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes seem to have the ayes have it, and the ordinance is introduced. Thank you, Mr. Depot.
Thank you.
All right. There is no unfinished business of which I'm aware. Does anybody have any unfinished business? There's no new business of which I'm aware. Does anybody have any new business? Hearing none, we'll move on to departmental reports. Mr. Depot, would you like to lead us through that?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to start with Chief Ledwell today. As a little change from what we normally do. Exactly.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Over this weekend, we held another consolidated hiring events with a written test, an oral board panel, and a physical fitness test. We had some good candidates that made it through, and we'll continue with the background investigation for those individuals. We've started conducting several operations to provide education regarding electric bikes and scooters to prevent them from being ridden on the sidewalks, specifically downtown. We also combined it with pedestrian crosswalk safety education and distracted driver violations in the downtown area. So we'll continue to intermittently conduct those. I'm conducting one-on-one employee meetings with all the individuals at the police department. We're talking about career goals and other matters that are important to those individuals. We had 5 officers attend today. A training that was sponsored by the Sheriff's Office on officer wellness and resiliency. I think it was very well received. It was here locally at the Public Safety Training Center. And Sergeant Adam Laser conducted active threat response training for all the staff at the Carroll County Health Department for their requests over this last week. And that's all I have for my report. Is there any questions?
You have any questions for Chief Ledwell? Let's move over to IT department and Director Moore.
I'm going to keep it brief. In addition to the stuff we normally do, the only big things right now I'll bring up, we did sign the contract for Park Mobile. That will be kicking off as soon as the administrator returns. We'll be getting the kickoff meeting for that, and usually within 45 to 90 days that'll be live. So we'll go through that process. Continue working on our phone bill audits and our phone bill lines, radio lines, things like that, trying to see where we can maybe save some money for the city. So weekly meetings with Verizon now to go through that process. And we attended a cybersecurity summit on Wednesday with the state of Maryland and several other municipalities and school districts of Maryland, just to get some feelers out there, see what other people are experiencing and kind of work together to kind of put some common goals and some solutions going forward that help everybody. That's my report. Let's see any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Moore?
Yes.
I have a question. It's sort of a random question, and maybe it's not your department, but maybe it is. Someone had brought up to me the concept of with our water sewer bills, like I have an online account, I can go and pay, but the possibility of setting up like auto pay, are we exploring something like that?
Yes, we are. So one of the things I'm exploring is replacing our existing financial system. And that is one of the needs that we are going to have going forward is a better online payment system for what we have. We get all of the citizen calls that the IT department gets is about problems paying bills. So we see it as a problem. We shouldn't make it difficult for people to pay us. And, we want to make sure that we fix that going forward. So as we go to replace that system, that will be one of the needs I have already put in that we do want an auto pay option.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. You will make a lot of people happy, including myself, because I like setting stuff up. Yes. Okay, so great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for Mr. Moore? Thank you. Let's move over to housing and Director Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Depot. Good evening, everyone. I had the opportunity earlier today to participate in a strategic planning session with Circle of Care. And this is a sort of a Carroll County consortium of health, mental health, social service, human services kind of organization. And one of the interesting things that came out of that strategic planning session was something you mentioned, Councilman Huff, the need for more affordable housing. And as we got into the discussion, some of the same issues you raised came up during this session as well. So as it moved forward, I think there's going to be a lot of interesting discussion about this topic and then how you move forward with the production of affordable housing in the county in general. So I'll be interested to see how that turns out.
Mr. Brown, I believe you were on the 10-year housing assessment.
I was.
With me, that was through the state.
I was.
So it's interesting because it's recurring themes.
It is.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, thank you.
That's all I have to do.
Any questions for Mr. Brown? Thank you. Let's move over to Public Works and Director Pick.
Thank you, Director Deacon. So I wanted to just be more informational last week of two different water situations that came up. One was Carroll Plaza, who had a leak on the private side of their property, severe leak, so we had to shut the water off. Surprisingly enough, it took them almost a day and a half, almost really 2 full days to repair. It took the first day, nobody showed up, and then the second day they made the repair. I think the water came on about 3 o'clock then in the afternoon on Friday. So anybody that tried to visit some of the local restaurants there, of course, would have been turned away because they were completely shut down for that time period. The other one,
blamed for it regardless.
the other situation we had was on Wednesday night last week. I was at home and got a call that Lost Lion had lost water, which caught me off guard. Shouldn't have lost water. We made all the connections during the day except for the 6-inch fire suppression lines, which we scheduled for that evening. Notified everybody. And of course, when we cut the water off, they lost water. As we dug the hole, by the time I got there, the lines were exposed and there was an 1.5-inch line. I immediately told them, I got a restaurant full of people. That's right now. Stop what you're doing. We got to make that connection. They did that. I got my workout in because I ran around the block to get the lock line, to check the water. And of course, nothing. And I was like, okay. So run back around the block. That left us with a 6-inch line. So apparently inside the building is where their water lines tapped off. And we had no access to it to know or see. So we immediately directed them to repair the 6-inch as quick as possible. The management of Lost Line was more than I expected, being nice and understood, and they knew about the project and just everything that we put out there they knew about. But the whole idea that their line is coming off a fire suppression line inside the building instead of the water main that runs directly behind their business, just is something that we just could not prepare for at that point. We did have it completely restored by 11 o'clock. It was right around 11. But at that point, they said, we're good. We cleaned what we could. We'll clean the rest in the morning. And they called it a night. The rest of that night, they did the other 3. Went off without a hitch. And so that was that. That was quite an interesting 2.5 days last week for the water and our water department, because we had guys on hand too to make sure everything went smooth. I know there were probably a lot of conversations about this over the weekend. I know I heard more than enough just by myself. So just wanted to lay it out there. Everybody understood what happened for that. But rather than that, they started replacing the 12-inch main today. They got the first piece out. Tomorrow they'll be replacing that first 1 or 2 sticks of pipe. And once we get down past Longwell, so we'll have the 2 lanes open again. With us working right at the intersection, we're still closed down with having the traffic control, which is, to me, still doing probably one of the best jobs of traffic control I've seen on Main Street in a long time. So I'm pleased with that, but we need to just get down a little bit farther so we can get to 2 lanes open. But other than that, that's all I have for a report.
Any questions for Director Dick? Tina, thank you. And let's move to Recreation and Parks and Director Gruber.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words about Saturday's festivities, and moreover, thank you for your enthusiastic participation. It is certainly not just the Recreation and Parks Department that helps to pull these events off. Everybody was assisting. Director Moore's team enlarged some photographs for us, printed all of our sandwich board signs. Obviously, we had presence from the police department out on the street, just keeping order and everybody safe. Clerk Barber was delivering things to me on many occasions from 45 West Main that were necessary, easels and the big scissors. Obviously, the streets department is very much a part of making this all happen. So it's just really remarkable. Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention planning. Members of the planning department helped prepare remarks for the day. So we just really work so well together as a team. And when things like this are available to the public, in the public eye, I think it really just is a shining example of how well we work together and how much we enjoy working together. Maybe I'm speaking. I enjoy it in producing the event that we want to put out there. So no, it really is great to work with everybody, and it's really great when we all pull together to make these things possible. So thank you to everybody who helped make Saturday a reality. It certainly was nice to have an event out that wasn't grossly affected by weather, put it that way. So moving on, tomorrow we actually will be spending our morning along with the streets department being trained on how to winterize our main pool. And you may remember we invested in a pool cover, which is new for us, which will protect the city's investment. So that will be installed on the main pool tomorrow as well. So we're looking forward to learning how to safely and effectively winterize this new city asset. Phase 2, which is the spray ground and the learning pool, we actually just brought that up as though it would be Memorial Day weekend. That happened last week. We were able to see the splash pad fully operational. The funbrellas were up. It looked like a summer day, only it wasn't quite as warm. So it's very exciting to see all of that operational. Phase 2 will stay filled with water and won't be winterized until the second week of November. Everything has to stay filled with water to cure the plaster. So that's why you see this phased approach to our shutting down of the facilities. I don't want anyone to question, why'd you close the main pool, but the other pool is still filled with water. So we'll be actively watching the weather to make sure there's no danger for pipes to freeze. If something like that happens, we'll turn on the pumps to keep the water circulating, and we'll throw some heaters into the new pool filtration building to keep things moving safely until we can winterize and drain phase 2. And I believe that completes my report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions from Ms. Gruber?
Ms. Gruber, in the spring, are we going to have some sort of event for the 2 new pools, or the splash pad and the lap pool or something like that?
We would very much like to do so if you are interested in participating in another ribbon cutting.
Oh, okay. Okay. And we can get the naming plaque for
Any other questions? Seeing none. And last and hopefully not least, the Department of Community Planning and Development. On November 7th, the Board of Zoning Appeals is scheduled to reopen case 2303, a special exception request at a home occupation use for online sales of firearms and transfer services at 231 Stacy B. Drive. On November 8th, the Historic District Commission is scheduled to again review the architectural elevations for a 4-unit multiple family dwelling unit at 288 East Main Street for compliance of the 2016 Design Preference Manual and for new development in the historic district. The 28th Annual Community Forest Workshop at McDaniel College was again a huge hit. We received great feedback from participants, and that is special thanks to Andrea Gerhard, my department. If it was for her, this event certainly wouldn't happen and not be nearly as eventful. The city's farmers market is still operating Saturday mornings up until November 18th. And just a carryover for Small Business Saturday, following the proclamation, the passport program for Small Business Saturday does begin. We started early this year, so it's going to start on November 4th and we'll go to December 10th. We will have the passport online so you can view the businesses of the 8 municipalities. There are 225 businesses participating, 70 of which are in Westminster. So we are increasing every year. And if you visit 8 businesses and purchase something from those businesses, you can enter into a contest where we will offer $50 gift certificates for people participating. And that completes my report, and I'm available for any questions.
Mr. Tito, sorry. 288 East Main, does that coming before planning and zoning, or does it not necessary?
It will. It'll come before Planning and Zoning Commission. We just want, because it is historic district, we have an agreement with the HDC that any new development, we do try to get the feedback. It'll be beneficial to the Planning Commission as well as staff.
Okay, so but it does come to planning and zoning. Okay,
Yes, it will.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Then that completes departmental reports.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Bebo. Final item on our agenda is citizens' comments, when we invite the public to address the mayor and council on any issues pertaining to tonight's agenda or any other city issues. For citizens not attending the public meeting, we invite you to send us your comments or concerns via email at comments@westminstermd.gov. All comments received by email will be shared with the mayor and council. Commenters should include their address and phone number with their comments. Now I'll invite comments from anyone who is present, and I ask that you give us your name and address for the record. Anyone would like to be heard tonight? Yes, sir.
My name is Evan Pickett. My address is 203 Benfield Road, Smyrna Park. I just want to thank the council and also thank Director Depot. It's been a pleasure working with you. So that's all. I just want to say thank you.
Right, thank you. And you were with Barrelife, is that? Yes. Very good. Thank you very much. Right. Anyone else wish to be heard tonight? All right. In that case, that concludes our agenda and the meeting. Our next regular meeting will be Monday, November 13th. We will adjourn this meeting and go into our work session for our presentation on technology. Thank you all very much. We're adjourned.